Did y'all? Ah, shoot, I left the wrong paper out. Okay, so today what we're doing is we're talking about factoring by grouping. Okay, so this is just another way to factor. It may seem weird, but I think you'll catch on to the way we're doing this. And the way all these work out is generally they're put in a nice and neat way where it just basically falls. I mean, it just works every time. Okay. So let me show you what's going to happen here. As you can see, this says it's factoring by grouping. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be grouping things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these two and then these two. Okay? I'm going to put parentheses around the first two terms, parentheses around the last two terms there. Now, what I'm going to think about here is, in this first group, what can I take out of both of these terms? An x. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take an x out. And if I take an x out of x squared, what's left? X. Or when I say take x out of x squared, I mean basically if I divide x out of x squared, what's left is an x. Okay, if I take an x out of 3x, what's left? 3. Is a positive 3. Okay? Now, let me just stop here. Let's just go back the other direction real quick, okay? Let me go from here back to this. So if I were to distribute here, what is x times x? X squared. And if I do x times 3, what do I get? 3x. You get 3x. You get that. So all I'm doing is just taking something out here. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to pull something out of this second group so that whenever I get done with that, what's left in parentheses is the same thing as what's in parentheses here. Now, these first ones, it's easy. It just works out real nice and neat, okay? So what could I pull out of this group right here? 2. Is a positive 2. Okay? Now, if I pull a positive 2 out of this, if I pull a positive 2 out of that, what's left? X. And if I pull a positive 2 out of 6, what's left? 3. Is a positive 3. Now, see, that's what I wanted, is I wanted this inside the parentheses to be the same thing as this inside the parentheses. And so by doing that, that's what I want. These need to be the same right here. So now, as I think about this, in this first group right here, and in the second group, there's something that they both have in common. What does this first group and the second group have in common? They both have an x plus 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull an x plus 3 out. Okay? So I get an x plus 3. Whoops. Okay? I'm pulling an x plus 3 out of both of these. So if I pull an x plus 3 out of this first part, what's left? An x. Right? And if I pull an x plus 3 out of this second part, what's left? 2. Is a positive 2. Okay? Now, this is all you have to do. This gets you to your answer. But and again, you don't have to do this on everyone, but I just want you to see this real quick, okay? I'm going to do FOIL. Just to FOIL this thing out here real quick. So, FOIL first. What's x times x? Is x squared, okay? So the O of FOIL is what? Outside. X times 2 is what? 2x. 2x. Okay, the I of FOIL? Inside. 3 times x is what? 3x. 3x. And then the L of FOIL? Last. 3 times 2 is what? 6. Isn't this the exact same thing as that? Well, these are switched, but that doesn't change anything, right? It's the same thing. X squared, you have your 2x, you have your 3x, and you have your positive 6. Okay? So this is the factoring of that right there. All right, number 2. Group these. All right, what could I pull out of the first group here? An x. That's the biggest thing that I could pull out of both of those is just a single x. So we have an x. And if I take an x out of x squared, what's left? X. And if I take an x out of 5x, what's left? 5. Is a positive 5. All right. Now again, whatever I pull out of this, I want to be what's in the parentheses to be the same thing as this? And again, this one's easy. What can I pull out of here?
4.
A positive 4. So if I pull a 4 out of 4x, what's left? X. And if I pull a 4 out of 20, what's left?
5.
There's a 5. Do these two things match? Yes, and that's what I want. So I'm going to pull an x plus 5 out of both of those. If I pull an x plus 5 out of this first part, oh, where'd you go? Okay. That's crazy. What the heck? It's just like gone. That was weird. Okay. All right, sorry. All right, so if I pull an x plus 5 out of this first part, what's left? Okay, if I pull an x plus 5 out of this first part, what's left? Just that x. That's all that's left. And if I pull an x plus 5 out of this second part, what's left?
Plus 4.
Just that 4. That's it. Now again, I'm just going to do a quick FOIL real quick, okay? And I'm not even going to write it down. I'm just going to check. What's x times x? X squared. X times 4. 4x. 5 times x? 5x. And then 5 times 4 is 20. So that's good. Okay, I want you to try number 3. Do what?
Box, like the frame.
You could do that, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it. Okay. Yep, good. So that would need to be a negative right there. Yep, you're right. Okay, so on this first group right here, what could you pull out of this? You pull an x out. And if you pull an x out, what's left? X plus 3. Okay? Now, again, my goal is whenever I do whatever on this, I want what's in parentheses to be the same thing as this. So what could I pull out of this to make it an x plus 3 in there? Okay, I'd have to pull out a negative 5, right? Because if I take negative 5x and divide it by negative 5, what's going to be left? Yeah, an x, like a 1x, right? Like, let me show you this, what I mean. Like if I have negative 5x and I divide that by negative 5. It's like what we've been talking about. So negative 5x divided by negative 5, what happens to these negative 5s? They turn into a 1, so that's 1x, same thing as just an x, right? So that's what's going on here. If I divide negative 5 into negative 5x, it just leaves a 1x or just an x, okay? Now if I divide negative 5 into negative 15, what's left? A positive 3. And then there you go, that's what I want. Now these two things are the same thing. So I'm going to pull an x plus 3 out. And then what do I have left? X minus 5. And again, just a quick FOIL, x squared, 3x, negative 5x, negative 15. That's good. Okay, try number 4 real quick. Okay, what can you pull out of the first group? X. And what does that leave?
Plus 2.
X plus 2. What can you pull out of the second group?
Plus 5.
Positive 5. Whoops. And what does that leave?
Plus 2.
X plus 2. So the first part has an X plus 2. The second part has an X plus 2. So they have that in common. I'm going to pull that out. X plus 2. And then what does that leave? X plus 5. And again, a quick FOIL, x squared, 2x, 5x, 10. So that's all good. Okay, number 5. All right. So what can I pull out of the first group? What's the biggest thing I can pull out of both pieces there?
X squared.
Good. Okay, this one has a 2, this one does not have a 2, so I can't pull a 2 out of both of them. Okay, so that's off. Okay, they both have an x. What's the biggest, the biggest x I can pull out of both of them is an x squared, because there's an x squared here. I can pull an x squared out of this also. Okay, so an x squared can be pulled out of both of those pieces. So if I pull an x squared out of 2x cubed, what's left? 2x. And if I pull an x squared out of a negative x squared, or if I divide x squared into negative x squared, what's left? Yeah, there's something. Negative 1. Watch. Okay? Watch this. Okay, negative x squared, divide that by x squared. Okay. What is x squared divided by x squared? It's 1, right? That's the reason I keep talking about all that stuff. Like, anything divided by itself is 1, okay? And then nothing changed that negative. That negative still is there, okay? So it's a negative 1 what that becomes. All right? Now, again, let me slow down here and talk about this again, okay? Let's go back from this to just this right here. Okay, if I do x squared times 2x, x squared times 2x is what? It's 2x cubed. And what's x squared times negative 1? Negative 1x squared, or just negative x squared. Okay? All right, now, I need to pull something out of here that whenever I get that pulled out, what's in parentheses is the same thing as this. So what can I pull out? A negative 5. And if I divide a negative 5 out of a negative 10x, what's going to be left? 2x. It's going to be a positive 2x. And if I divide a negative 5 out of a positive 5, what's left?
1.
A negative 1.
Where'd you get that negative 5?
You pulled the 5 out from the back.
Okay. All right. Is the question, where did I get the negative 5 from? Or is it, why did I not use a positive 5?
No,
Or?
it's where'd you get it
Okay. So all I'm thinking is, what can I pull out of this? So basically, I need this to be a positive 2x to match what that is. So I'm thinking, okay, what could I divide out of a negative 10x to make this a positive 2x? And so to make this into a 2x, I would have to divide a negative 5 out. Okay? That's basically the same thing I've said, but hopefully that makes sense. Okay? And then once I divide negative 5 into positive 5, it leaves a negative 1. So now I have 2x minus 1 on both of these right here. So I'm going to pull a 2x minus 1 out. Okay? And then what does that leave? I'll pull a 2x minus 1 out of here, 2x minus 1 out of here. What's left? X squared minus 5. Okay? Now again, just a quick FOIL. This is going to be 2x cubed. This is going to be negative 10x. This is going to be negative x squared. And this is going to be a positive 5. So that's good. Okay, number 6. What's the biggest thing I can pull out of both of those on the first group? Is x squared. Okay, if I divide an x squared out of x cubed, what's left? X. If I divide x squared out of 10x squared, what's left? Positive 10. So what am I going to divide out of that second group?
5.
Positive 5. And if I divide 5 out of 5x, what's left? X. If I divide 5 out of 50, what's left?
10.
10. So again, I did what I needed here. I have these two that are the same, so that's good. So I can pull that out. X plus 10. And then x squared plus 5. And then again, a quick FOIL, we get x cubed, I get 5x, 10x squared, and 50. Okay, try number 7.
Number 7, will you just bring that down?
Yes. Yep.
So then it would just be. So I have.
No, it's going to be. Oh, okay. All right, so here's what's happening. There is a number in front of there.
Oh, 1.
It's a 1.
So just 1 plus x.
Yeah, or x plus 1, yeah. Okay, so on this one, what can I pull out of those on number 7?
X.
I can pull out an x, and what's that going to leave? X squared plus 4. Now notice how it's already the same thing as the last thing there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop this down, x squared plus 4. But remember what's going on here is this is like, you could think of it as a positive 1 outside here. There's no number out there. It's like a 1 out there. X squared plus 4 and x plus 1. Okay, and again, just to check to see if I got it right, x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 1 is 1x squared. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, I can deal with that. All right.